Hey everyone, it's the Slick Cuber. Today, we're going to be reviewing the YJ MGC 3x3. The MGC is the new cube by YJ. Just came out a couple weeks ago. Pre-orders were just shipped out from Cubicle and Speed Cube Shop, I think maybe last week. Comes in black plastic and white plastic. There are no stickerless options as of right now. The shades on this thing are very close to the Valk, in my opinion. Here's my Valk right here, so we can see the whites, the oranges, the yellows, the reds. They're all very similar. Blues are equally dark, and greens are equally dark. It looks like almost an exact copy of the Valk's stickers. Right out of the box, this thing was pretty good. It came pretty heavily lubed from the factory. I didn't solve it much with the lube on it. I set it up pretty quickly after getting it because I didn't really like the way it felt. That's not to say it was bad right out of the box. It was actually pretty okay. I'm very specific with how my cubes are set up. Overall, the cube has a very kind of thick feeling. It's kind of slow, it's kind of scratchy, it's kind of blocky. It just feels kind of heavy. And that's not to say this is a bad thing. I actually kind of prefer heavier cubes because I tend to overshoot on lighter cubes like the GTS2. I think one of the main reasons that it feels so blocky and heavy is that the entire piece is just one solid piece. There's no breaks. It doesn't come apart at all. It's just solid. You can see the magnets right there. The plastic on the inside, as you can see, is a primary white color. You can see the magnets poking through it right there. The caps have this cool little horizontal line that I think looks kind of neat. Corner cutting is pretty good. It cuts at 45 degrees. I set it up so that it cuts a little bit over 45 degrees. I've done about 100 or so solves on this, and honestly, I'm liking it a lot more now. It does require a little bit of break-in. Right out of the box, it was heavy and slow and sluggish. Now it's kind of heavy and slow, but it's kind of heavy and slow in a smooth way, kind of like the Valk Power M. The cube sounds unlike any other cube I've ever heard before. It's kind of like this kind of scratchy, kind of heavy, kind of quiet sound. Here, I'll bring it up to the mic and you can hear. The layers just, as they turn, it sounds scratchy, but it's not scratchy. As you can see, I've put quite a bit of Traxxas 30K in here, and you can see when I turn the layers, it's very smooth. There's no skips or jumps. So it's not dry. It's not a dry or scratchy cube, and yet it sounds dry and scratchy. It's very strange. It's a very kind of thick sound. It's very quiet. If you're looking for a quiet cube, this is definitely a good one to look at. It's not very clickety-clackety like the Valk. After 100 solves or so, I've been getting my regular times on this. It's overall a great cube. Because of the heavy feeling, my hands do get a little bit tired while solving this, which is not something that I've run into with, I think, any other cube. So the real question is, how does it compare to all the other 3x3s that are out right now? First off, we have the GTS2M right here. Obviously, the GTS2M, it feels a little bit lighter. It turns faster. It has that kind of clack to it. Like you can hear this. Compared to this. It's just so scratchy. It's so weird. I don't get it. Obviously, it's heavier, it's smoother than the GTS2. That's not saying much, seeing as the GTS2 is probably known as the fastest, lightest, quickest to use cube that's out there right now. The magnets in the MGC are a little bit more subtle. With the GTS2, there's a definite click when you reach it. With this, it kind of glides into its spot. It's not as clicky. It doesn't snap as much. All right, so here we have my Valk. As you can see, this is actually a Supernova Valk 3M. I have a normal Valk as well, but I didn't magnetize it myself, so I'm gonna use this one since this is the Valk I actually use. Obviously, the Valk has that kind of hollow, clacky sound that we all know the Valk has. The Valk feels a little bit heavier, maybe the same. They're both the same size. They're both 55.5 millimeters. On all different sides. Obviously the shades, like I was saying earlier, are very close to the same. It has the same dark reds, has the same kind of like bright yet dark orange, dark greens, dark blues. They both have very dark colors. For magnets, obviously the Valk 3 doesn't come factory magnetized, so that's gonna depend on what magnets you put in here. This Supernova one feels about the same. It's a kind of a subtle click at the end. The Valk feels a lot smoother to me. It's just an overall smoother cube than the MGC. And that comes back to what I was saying earlier in that the MGC just feels strangely scratchy. Here we have the Huang that just came out. This is another new cube, so I haven't had a lot of time to play with it, but I've set it up. I've lubed it the exact same with the exact same lube as this one. I use Traxxas 30K in both. The Huanglong is probably a lot faster, which isn't that much of a surprise since the Huanglong is a lot like its brother, the Little Magic. It feels smoother than the kind of slightly scratchy feeling of this. It's a little bit less blocky. It moves faster. It's a little bit lighter. Again, they're the same size. They're all 55.5 millimeters except for the GAN puzzle over here. So now on to the Valk Power M. How does it compare? This one, I actually found that they're very similar. They both have a kind of a heavy feeling to them. This one's a little bit, you can hear, is a little bit clackier. Definitely a little bit clackier to the Valk Power M than we have with this one, which has that kind of quiet, scratchy sound to it that we are very aware of at this point. It's this one, I think the Valk is a little bit smoother, has a smoother feeling. They both have the clear plastic internals on the thing, which is kind of cool. I kind of like the look of it, though the MGC has this cool little corner thing. The magnet strength is about the same. This one is a little bit more snappy. The Valk, it kind of snaps into place, whereas this one glides a little bit more. It more just kind of, it's like, maybe I kind of want to be a cube shape. Yeah, I guess I'll be a cube shape. Whereas with this one, it's like, I want to be a cube. All right, so next we have the Goguan Yushao Pro. This isn't a main flagship by any means, but I actually love it a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and compare it. Goguan is much louder, though Goguan is probably one of my loudest cubes. A little bit gummy, even though I didn't even lube it that much. It just kind of retains the lube a lot more than I found any other cubes, especially the MGC. MGC is a little bit heavier. The magnet strength between these two are about pretty much exactly the same, actually. They both kind of have that, kind of want to be a cube shape feel to them, where they're kind of just easing into it, but there's not like a solid click. I would say the Goguan is faster, definitely. This one has that heavy, kind of slower feel. Finally, we have the GAN Air SM, which is what a lot of people are using nowadays. I actually found these two to be more similar than I thought they were going to be, in that they both have this very similar blocky feeling. And I think the way that the cubes are shaped are very similar. They both have very rounded edges. The MGC actually has a little bit more rounded. You can see the corner right here is more round, whereas this one is a little bit sharp. However, despite that, you can see that the cubies are very similar sizes, and they just have kind of similar blocky, crunchy feeling. The magnets in the GAN are a little bit stronger, whereas this one is just kind of that easy into it. This one is definitely more scratchy, whereas this one is snappy. This one is definitely a little bit more scratchy than the GAN. The GAN is very smooth, yet blocky, yet stable. The GAN, it kind of just has everything good going for it. Since neither of these come in a stickerless option, we can really compare the stickers on this one. You can see the GAN blue is a lot brighter. Greens look about the same. Yellows look about the same. The orange on the MGC, like the Valk, is that very kind of dark yet bright fluorescent orange, whereas this is kind of a lighter orange. So in conclusion, it doesn't compare great to these other flagship cubes. I would say I definitely prefer these other ones to this, but keep in mind, this is $15. The rest of these are like $30 or $40. This is $15. This is a fraction of the price. And whereas it's not as great as these other flagship cubes, it is definitely well worth the $15. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews in the future. Bye.